జయలలితకు చికిత్స జరిగిన తీరును వివరిస్తూ అపోలో వైద్యులు వివరాలు వెల్లడిస్తున్నారు. ప్రత్యక్ష ప్రసారం ద్వారా చూద్దాం.
ஃபீவர் டீஹைட்ரேஷன் தான் வந்தாங்க சார். அவங்க ஃபீவர் தான் வந்தாங்க. அதுக்கப்புறம் அவங்கள இவாலுவேட் பண்ணும்போது அவங்க சுகர் அன்கண்ட்ரோல்டா இருந்தது. அதுக்கப்புறம் யூரினரி இன்ஃபெக்ஷன் இருந்தது. அது அப்படி செப்சிஸ் கொஞ்சம் அதிகரித்ததால் she went in for various cascading events ஆக ஒன்றன் மேல் ஒன்றாக அது மேலேறி விட்டது.
So please, can we just first of all maintain the order here and remember that Dr. Balaji was in a coordinating role, but he wasn't one of the treating doctors. So could we just take another question over there, please? One at a time, please. This gentleman with his hand up, about to have the microphone.
Doctor, my name is Sam Daniel from NDTV. My question is, if you can give a timeline on when did Ms. Jayalalithaa, or when all did she turn unconscious? At any point did she turn into coma stage? And when she signed the election commission's papers, was she conscious? And who are the people she was in touch with who are physically interacting with her during the treatment time?
So I'll pass that to Dr. Babu in a moment for the details, but the broad brush is that she, when she came into hospital with sepsis, infection as we've discussed, then for a period of time she was treated with non-invasive ventilation, that's ventilation via mask to the face, and her initial condition improved somewhat. And she was certainly conscious and responding.
I will translate each line.
Okay. And then, unfortunately, as the sepsis progressed and she got more tired, it was necessary for her to go on a ventilator fully, at which point she was asleep. And then later in the course, as she improved, she once more was awake and fully interactive. But Dr. Babu will provide more detail and also in Tamil, perhaps. Tamil, yeah.
Regarding the election paper, the thumb impression was attested by me. Myself and Dr. Babu Abraham were in the room. அவர்கள் கை ரேகையை அட்டஸ்ட் செய்த நான், அதற்கு சாட்சியாக இருந்தவர் டாக்டர் பாபு தான். 27/10/2016 அன்று அந்த நிகழ்வு நடந்தது. I read out the letter from the election commission to her, and since there was அவர் கையில் IV fluid சென்று கொண்டிருந்ததால், அதில் கையெழுத்து போட சிரமம் இருந்ததால், கையும் வீக்கமாக இருந்ததால், அது சாத்தியமாக இல்லை என்பதால் அவரது கைரேகை பதிவு செய்யப்பட்டது. அதை நான் அட்டஸ்ட் செய்தேன். அதற்கு சாட்சியாக டாக்டர் பாபு அன்று அவரோடு இருந்தார். She was conscious, sir. நான் அவரோடு பேசினேன். இந்த மாதிரி நான் டாக்டர் பாலாஜிங்க உங்க இந்த she read the election commissionல இருந்து வந்த லெட்டரை படிச்சாங்க சார். படிச்சிட்டு she was since it is not able to sign it, she attested the thumb impression and I introduced and Dr. Babu was also.
So please gentlemen, please we will take.
No, my question was, when did she turn unconscious? You can give the timeline.
With respect, this isn't going to work if you shout questions at us. It will take as long as it takes, but I do insist that we do this in a civilized fashion. Sir, you had a question. Will you follow up with your point over there?
He asked why no photographs have been released of the patient, Madam Chief Minister.
It is absolutely not normal practice to photograph people who are critically ill in hospital, or any patient for that matter, and publish that sort of private and detailed information about someone. It would be regarded, is regarded as an intrusion on their confidentiality and their dignity. And where I practice in London, it would absolutely never be the case that we would allow photography of any critically ill patient and publish their photograph unless they specifically wanted that to happen. And clearly someone who is unwell isn't in a position to make such a decision, and then later when they recover, then it's a matter for them, but one respects their wishes. So in the general sense, that's why this is not done. But Dr. Babu, you may want to comment because you were involved. Please let him finish.
Doctor, you said she was critically ill, but all along we were told, the media and the outside world was told that she was improving dramatically. You said she was critically ill, but all along that was not the picture that was given or presented. Can you please clarify why?
Both of us are doctors here. We are not policy makers. If you can ask us medical questions, we'll be happy to answer. Unfortunately, we will not be able to answer those questions which are hospital policy or whoever the policy makers are. Please ask us medical questions. We'll try to answer, as Professor Richard Beale said, within the purview of her confidentiality. And you know there's a court case going on, so I will not be able to divulge everything. I can't answer that question of yours because it's not my. Can I answer Sam, please? So, Sam, I cannot give you finer details or time or dates because I don't have records with me and my memory is not that good. So when she came to us to the emergency room, she was drowsy, but with treatment appropriate, she woke up, she was talking, she was eating, she was interacting with officials for about a week, I would say, by which time, because her sepsis was slowly, making her tired, her breathing was getting worse, she got intubated. That is, a tube was put into her throat so that she will be connected into a big ventilator. So once she was put on a big ventilator, then we had to give her sleeping medicines because otherwise it becomes uncomfortable for her. So from that time onwards, for about 10 days, she was on sleeping medicines and not able to communicate continuously. But when we remove the sedation and wake her up, she's able to communicate by signs, hands, because there's a tube in the throat. After that, we did a procedure called tracheostomy. I again can't remember the date off my head. After the tracheostomy, usually patients come off the sleeping medicine. They are fully awake. From that time onwards, I would say it would be about 10 to 12 days after we did the intubation. She was again awake and appropriate and communicating by sign languages, and we can lip read her. So most of the medical personnel could understand what she is saying by lip reading. That's all.
And you'll remember that the story was in the public domain, wasn't it, about the conversation I had with her where I said, look, in here I'm in charge. And she said, no, you are. She was still in charge. So she was very much completely aware with it, interacting in that phase. So the point about this is, at the beginning when she was unwell, clearly she wasn't in a position to interact. She improved a bit, deteriorated again, was stabilized, and then later, as she was on a trajectory of improvement, she was very interactive and aware. So that's the reality of this process, and it's entirely typical for somebody who has this sort of situation.
Sir.
Madam at the back with your hand up.
So, what's the reason for her sudden cardiac arrest, and did she underwent physiotherapy actually? Because many of the press release quoted that she's taking physiotherapy, and you are telling that she is physically ill and she is giving only sign languages. So how come she took physiotherapy? That and all I have to know.
So I think it's worth understanding a little bit more about what happens in these sorts of disease processes, because a lot of the misunderstanding, I think, is because people just don't, and why would you, understand how things work. So when someone has had this sort of illness and is on the ventilator and then has been stabilized and is on treatment, the process we follow is we wake them up, we try and reduce the support from the ventilator, and we start physiotherapy. We try and start the rehabilitation process as quickly and as soon as we possibly can, because people who are sick lose muscle bulk, they lose strength, and so on. So you want to have them working as much as you can to try and encourage that improvement process. Now, that's managed by the physiotherapists, the bedside nurses, and to some extent the doctors are involved, although it isn't our primary skill set, and supported by the dietitian and all the other members of the multidisciplinary team who help with this. And so all these things go along at the same time. Physiotherapy isn't an all or nothing thing. It starts off very gently. There's that balance between not overstressing the patient, but at the same time making sure they're moving forwards and they're starting to regain a bit of strength. So that's exactly what happened here in a very longer. So Now, why did that happen? We don't know, except we have a lady of more mature years with chronic diseases, hypertension and diabetes that make you vulnerable to these things, and with recovering sepsis, and who'd had an infection on her heart. So unfortunately, a sudden heart attack or stroke or some other event like this can, and tragically did in this case, happen.
Sir,
It was
after
the 2 months, why you not?
There's a question over here.
Dr. Richard, there's a
Please, question over here.
Sepsis with high diabetes and even a urinary tract infection. You believe she should have been brought to the hospital much before than what she was? Did they wait for too long to bring her to the hospital?
So I'm afraid all I can say to you is what I'm aware of after the event. Dr. Babu may be able to comment on the immediate circumstances surrounding her admission, but remember, we in the broader sense, the team at Apollo, were only involved once she reached hospital. But as far as I'm aware, she became short of breath quite suddenly, and the ambulance brought her to hospital quite quickly. But I'm afraid I wasn't there, so I'm only telling you what I know.
Dr.
Just a second.
I agree with Dr. Richard.
In other circumstances, would a patient have been brought earlier?
See, that's you are trying to go ask me to predict the what would happen. It's very difficult to tell. I can only tell you what happened when she came. I'm sorry, I'm not able to answer that question for you. Very hypothetical, but very difficult to answer.
சார், இது 2 மாதங்கள் சென்று ஏன் சந்திக்கிறோம் என்று கேட்டீங்கன்னா, there are a lot of rumors that are going around. To quell it, இவர் ஒரு நிகழ்வுக்காக இங்க சென்னை வர வேண்டிய சூழ்நிலை இருந்தது. இவர் மோஸ்ட் கிரிட்டிக்கல் டைம்ல இவர் அவங்களுக்கு வைத்தியம் பண்ணனால இவர் இருந்து செய்யும் போது இருக்கலாம்ன்றதுக்கு தான் இது. To quell all the rumors that are going around.
Dr. Richard, at what time?
And that he is around, the expert is around, so we thought this will be the opportune time, in the time correct irukum அப்படிங்கிறதுக்கு.
Dr. Richard, once.
Please, gentlemen, there was a question. This gentleman with the microphone.
Yeah, Dr. Richard, I'm Prasanna from Deccan Chronicle. When did you notice infection in the blood, bacterial infection in the blood? And at that time, has the damage been done? And second question, has any amputation been done or transplantation? And what are those marks on her cheek?
With regard to the first question, the normal process when someone comes in these circumstances is to stabilize the patient and then do a wide range of diagnostic tests. And that was what was done by the team at Apollo, and it was that first round of tests that identified the infection in the blood, that process in the first few days. I'm sorry, I've forgotten what you wanted to ask next.
Sir, amputation you want.
Second question was, has there been any amputation, and what are those marks on her cheek?
So there was no amputation at all, and the marks on the cheeks, I'm not aware precisely what you're talking about. What I will say is that critically ill patients often have some markings on their face.
No, sir.
Because of the tapes used to tighten. But I was not there, so I will pass that question.
Sir, there was no amputation done, sir, to your question. No transplantation. 2 questions that you asked. அவங்களுக்கு எந்தவித ஆம்புடேஷனுக்கு கால் எடுத்தார்களா என்று உங்கள் சந்தேகம் இல்லை. அவர் 2 கால்களோடு தான் இருந்தார். No transplantation done. Sir. That is secondary to embalming that was done to her. A professor of anatomy, Professor Sudha Seshan, is also here. She will answer your question on that. Madam, I request you to kindly come to the stage. Embalming was done.
When, sir? When?
On 4th night, sir, at after 11:30. Madam is here. Madam will answer your question. 4th night. 5th. Sorry, madam. 5th. Sorry. I am sorry. It was on 5th December.
Sir, sir, லண்டனுக்கு எதிராக கொண்டு போய் சிகிச்சை பெற வேண்டிய சூழல் இருந்தாங்களா?
Just a moment, please.
Embalming question முடிச்சிட்டு பேசுவோம். மேடம் உங்களுக்கு பேசுவாங்க சார் எம்பாமிங்கை பத்தி. ப்ரொஃபசர் ஆஃப் அனாட்டமி டாக்டர் சுதா சேஷன், டைரக்டர் ஆஃப் அனாட்டமி, மெட்ராஸ் மெடிக்கல் காலேஜ், will answer your question.
அந்த கேள்வி என்னன்னு கேக்குறீங்களா?
ஜெயலலிதா அவங்களுடைய உடலை பதப்படுத்தப்பட்டதா? எப்பொழுது பதப்படுத்தப்பட்டது? எப்பொழுது பதப்படுத்தப்பட்டது? அதற்கான காரணம் என்ன? 5ஆம் தேதி பண்றதுக்கான காரணம் என்ன?
ஓகே, I'll take one by one. Question number 1, பதப்படுத்தப்பட்டதா? ஆமாம், பதப்படுத்தப்பட்டது. 5ஆம் தேதி இரவு, அதாவது 5லிருந்து 6ஆம் தேதி காலை, அந்த 12:20 மிட்நைட் 12:20க்கு எம்பாமிங் ப்ரொசீஜர் தொடங்கியது. ஒரு 15 நிமிஷம் அந்த ப்ரொசீஜர் நடந்தது. கொஸ்டின் நம்பர் 2, அதுக்கு என்ன காரணம் அப்படின்னு கேட்டீங்க இல்லையா, ஏன் அதை செய்யணும் அப்படின்னு. யூஸ்வலா ஒரு விஐபி டெத் அப்படிங்கும்போது பொதுமக்கள் அஞ்சலிக்காக அந்த பாடி வெளியில வைப்பாங்க. அப்படி வெளியில வைக்கும்போது நம்ம சீதோஷ்ண நிலைமையில அந்த பாடி கெட்டு போறதுக்கான ஒரு நிலை உண்டு. அண்ட் சுத்தி நிறைய பேர் வரும்போது நீங்க எல்லாரையும் கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ண முடியாது. பல பேர் வருவாங்க. பல பேர் வரும்போது எல்லார்கிட்ட இருக்கக்கூடிய அந்த எல்லாரும் அங்க சுத்தி நடக்கும்போது தேர் கேன் பி ஸ்மெல், இல்ல அவங்க கொண்டு வரக்கூடிய டஸ்ட், அதனால வரக்கூடிய கண்டாமினேஷன், அந்த மாதிரி சில பிரச்சனைகள் வரும். அதை அவாய்ட் பண்றதுக்காகத்தான் விஐபி டெத்ல யூஸ்வலி when the body is placed for public homage, embalming is done and the same procedure was carried out here also. Sir, embalming for MG Ramachandran, former chief minister, பண்ணிருக்கு சார். In fact, the same Institute of Anatomy, Madras Medical College, இந்த former chief minister Madam Jayalalithaa embalm பண்ண அதே இன்ஸ்டிடியூஷன்லேருந்து, அஃப்கோர்ஸ் அப்ப இருந்த டீம், அப்ப இருந்தவங்க ரிட்டையர் ஆயிட்டாங்க, இதே இன்ஸ்டிடியூட் தான் அப்பவும் எம்பாம் பண்ணிட்டு. Madam, let me be very very clear on that. When embalming was done, தனியா அந்த 3 dots I don't remember seeing, I did not see. There were only ecchymotic spots. அதாவது ஒருத்தங்க பெட்ல ரொம்ப நாள் இருக்கும்போது அந்த ஒரு சின்னதா டீகலரேஷன் இருக்கும், அந்த மாதிரி ecchymotic spots தான் இருந்தது. What comes out on the public media, the social media, I have not seen because I was the person who was there when the embalming was performed.
So Mr. Richard, any argument?
And one second, let me finish the answer please. Can I finish? Yes. நீங்க அந்த அதுக்கு அப்புறம் மேடம் வந்து இன் ஸ்டேட் ஆனர்ஸ்ல இருக்கும்போது பாத்தீங்கன்னா யூசுவலா எம்பாமிங்கிறது ஒரு 5.5 liters of fluid will be pumped into the blood circulation and it will replace the blood volume, existing blood volume. So அந்த 5.5 liters of embalming fluid உள்ள போகும்போது டிஷ்யூக்குள்ள பர்க்குலேட் ஆகி எங்கெல்லாம் ஹோல்ஸ் இருக்கோ அங்கெல்லாம், if the tissue is very bad, if the tissue is degenerate or something like that, it will start oozing out. நீங்க பாத்தீங்கன்னா மேடமோட பாடியில அந்த நாஸ்ட்ரல்ஸ்ல கூட ஊஸ் இல்ல. அதனால இது எதுக்கு சொல்றேன்னா, ஒரு பெரிய ஹோல் நீங்க சொல்ற மாதிரி அங்க ஒரு ஹோல் இருந்ததுன்னா டெஃபினட்டா அதுல வந்து ஊஸ் வரும். And there was no oozing anywhere. We were able to complete the procedure in 15 minutes time because we had an automated pumping machine. 15 minutes நாங்க அந்த ஃபோர்ஸ்ல பம்ப் பண்ணும்போது எங்கேயுமே எக்ஸ்ட்ராடினரி ஊஸ் இருக்கவே இல்லை, except for a normal mucosal leak, which is a very normal thing for any individual. அதனால எங்கேயுமே வந்து ஒரு தேவையில்லாத ஓட்டை இல்ல வேற ஏதோ இடத்துல கட் பண்ணி திருப்பி ஒட்ட வச்சது அந்த மாதிரியான சிச்சுவேஷன்ஸ் இருக்கிறதுக்கு வாய்ப்பு இல்லை. From the standpoint of embalming, I am giving you this.
Mr. Richard, Mr. Richard, see, apart from any organ failure.
So, please now, I did ask you all at the beginning, this just doesn't work if everyone's shouting at us. No, now there's a question, you've had several questions. Would you, you've had several questions. The gentleman with the microphone over here. Sir, I do need to share this out, please.
Sir, December 4ஆம் தேதி எப்பொழுது மாரடைப்பு முதலமைச்சருக்கு ஏற்பட்டது, அந்த நேரத்தில் அங்க யார் இருந்தாங்க, உயர் சிகிச்சை பிரிவில் இருக்கக்கூடிய ஒரு நோயாளி அவங்களுக்கு இந்த பொட்டாசியம் லெவல் ஹார்ட்டுக்குள்ள அனைத்துமே பார்க்கப்பட்டு இருக்கும். இந்த நிலையில இதய துடிப்பு திடீரென்று நிறுத்தத்துக்கு காரணம் என்ன சார்?
So I'm just going to ask Dr. Balaji to translate, because the other thing is, if just as we must translate some of the English answers to Tamil, it's important that I understand what's being said.
I will translate, sir. He wants to know, critically ill patient who is on the road to recovery, her potassium has been high, and you say she has been into cardiac fibrillation, what steps did you take on that fateful day? That is his question. I think Babu will be the person to answer. Yes, you tell. If required, I will translate. அவர் சொல்வார் தேவை என்றால் நான் மொழிபெயர்த்து சொல்கிறேன். அவர் he will handle it in English. I will translate.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Or you can understand English, but you don't want to.
No. There are also Tamil channels.
Sir, Tamil channels, sir.
Right. அவர் பேசுவார் சார். நான் அப்புறம் மொழிபெயர்க்கிறேன்.
I cannot give finer details on that day's treatment because of other confidentiality. But I can assure you that the potassium level was not high on the day of arrest. It was checked in the morning. It was not arrest. She had a sudden cardiac arrest. A team of doctors who were taking care of that was there in the room when it happened. So it was a witnessed cardiac arrest. It was not a non-witness. It was a witnessed cardiac arrest.
சார், அந்த முதலமைச்சர் இருந்த அறையில அவசர உபகரணங்கள் அனைத்துமே இருந்ததா? அவங்க உயர் சிகிச்சை பிரிவில் இருந்து தனி அறைக்கு மாற்றப்பட்டதா சொல்லப்படுது. அந்த தனி அறையில அனைத்து உபகரணங்களும் வைக்கப்பட்டிருந்ததா?
அனைத்து உபகரணங்களும் இருந்தன. He wants to know. She was shifted to a room. That was whether it contained all the required equipment for life safety.
Yes.
எவ்வளவு நேரத்துல அவங்களுக்கு அந்த சிகிச்சை அளிக்கப்பட்டது? அதுக்கப்புறம் எப்பொழுது ஆபரேஷன் தியேட்டருக்கு அழைச்சு செல்லப்பட்டீங்க? இல்ல வேற எந்த இடத்துக்கு அவங்களை அழைச்சு செல்லப்பட்டீங்க?
4:20 அன்று ஞாயிறு மாலை 4:20 மணி அளவில் அவருக்கு சடன் ஏர்டெல் ஃபிப்ரிலேஷன் இருக்கும்போது அன்று பணியில் இருந்த டாக்டர் ரமேஷ் என்பவர் அவருடன் இருந்தார். அவர் அந்த அறையில் இருக்கும் போதே அந்த நிகழ்வு நடந்தது. So she was immediately resuscitated. And subsequently the entire team was at the bedside. Even ECMO was done at the bedside. And subsequently only she was shifted to the OT around 9:30 p.m. All resuscitative measures were done at the bedside in that room. All facilities were available in that room.
Okay, so I'm going to take a question from someone who hasn't had a question, please. You, sir, you haven't had a question. Please, microphone to this gentleman. We will get through all the questions, but let's
just a follow-up question on what was asked earlier. You said about why is this press conferencing happening after 2 months? I just want to ask, were you asked by someone to hold a press conference? Because this was the thing that a lot of the media, most of the media was asking for, coming out and being transparent about what is happening, or at least somebody from the medical team coming and talking to us. So was this press conference today very specifically mentioned to you, or was it just on your own capacity that you're coming out and giving this?
My question is also something related to that. I think you can
Okay, so we'll hear both of them, please.
It was earlier told that the press conference is being held to dispel the rumors about our former chief minister's death. But if you had thought it was so important, why didn't you hold this conference, and why were you waiting for his arrival for 2 months? If you had thought that it was so important, you could have asked him to come to Chennai even before this, and could have had all the rumors dispelled even before this.
Because the rumors were because the same rumors were doing the round even 2 months back.
So my question is also related to that.
Okay, so just slow down. So let's have all the question one more time, and then we'll make sure we've got all the points, and then I'll do my best to give you my response.
So my question also related to that. To the appello, you have told in the court that all the details or treatment details will be given in sealed cover. So is there any pressure for you hold this press meet and to answer the media people here?
Is it because of the political?
Is there any political? There is no political pressure to conduct this press meet. Your question.
Sir, can I make it clear that this press meet is not called by Apollo Hospital?
அரசு சார்பில் நடத்தப்படுகின்ற ஒரு நிகழ்வு.
Doctor, so to put in, can I? Yes. So from my point of view, clearly this press conference has been facilitated by the government, and I have always been willing to come and participate in a discussion such as this within the limits of confidentiality that I have already alluded to, because to be honest, it's been quite upsetting to watch from a distance many of the more extreme rumors that have been going around about things that apparently happened. And so I had imagined it would always be necessary at some point to try and dispel that. And some of you may know that even back at home, I and my office and even my home have been approached about some of these issues, which is unfortunate. As to why it's happening now, this is when the government have chosen to facilitate it and when we're available. And I've been asked to be here, so here I am.
Doctor, to put an end to all these controversies, why don't you release the CCTV footages?
So again, the detail of that would clearly be a response for Apollo, but in the general sense, firstly, you do not have CCT in patients' rooms. Secondly, any information that is there, even if it were to exist, which it doesn't, you would never release. I have explained to you, I think, that you do not take photographs of critically ill patients. Can you imagine if you or anyone you loved or cared about, critically ill in an intensive care unit or recovering, was being photographed and their images shared? How would they or you feel? We just do not do that. And I cannot understand why anybody here thinks it would be a reasonable thing to do. It's extraordinary.
Doctor, I have a one.
I'm going to take a question from over there now, please.
Doctor, you said you were always willing to come for such a press conference, and the government called you now. We are asking you this question repeatedly because there is a change in the political situation in the state right now. So we just wanted to know if you were willing earlier to, or you were available only now. Can you please clarify that?
My availability is limited. It isn't possible for me to come just whenever, but clearly I would make time to come as soon as possible when asked. As to precisely why this is the time that I've been asked, that's a matter for others, other than I think that clearly the feeling that these matters needed to be clarified after an appropriate period of time, after the initial grieving and mourning period had passed. More than that I can't say, I'm afraid. I am not, as you know, a native of your state, and the subtleties of some of the things that go on here are not things I pretend to understand.
Dr. Bail, was she...
I'm now going to take a question from over there. You have had several questions. We'll come back to you. At the back there, sir. This gentleman. No, I'm not. I was rung up at my home to be asked that question. I see it's been reported in some of the media. It's very easy to find out about me. I am a professor of intensive care medicine and a specialist in sepsis with, without being immodest, something of an international reputation. So I am most certainly not an embalming specialist.
Doctor, what is the last thing you spoke with the Chief Minister?
What did you speak to her?
The last thing that you spoke with the Chief Minister?
Gosh, I'm struggling to remember what that would be. But we talked about many things. But we talked about what she liked to watch on the TV. We talked about food. We talked about rehabilitation. I told her about my children. We talked about many things. Which of these was the last, I do not remember. But the point I think I'm getting across is we were having those sorts of interactions. Now, of course, she couldn't speak clearly, but she could mouth clearly. I could understand, and she could signal what she meant. So it was possible to have those sorts of interactions.
Was she cooperating?
Of course, absolutely.
Yeah, it seems she said it's a tough court. You said you are the boss. We were listening to all that.
I can tell you, it was at a personal level, as she recovered sufficiently to be interacting, it was clear to me what a most remarkable lady she was, and it was a pleasure, a privilege to be involved with her care. I very much got a sense of her strength of purpose and dedication, a remarkable lady. So yes, she was at a stage where, as a newcomer to meeting her, I could get that sort of impression. So she recovered to that word. I have no idea how much the treatment cost.
Dr. Abraham and Dr. Balaji, this question is to Dr. Abraham and Dr. Balaji.
Just a moment.
Other than the doctors, when she was on the road to recovery, whom did she interact on a daily basis other than the physical doctor?
Who else was available there next to her?
Who was there with her on a daily basis interacting with her?
The medical personnel.
Other than the medical personnel?
The family.
The family.
Immediate family, or can you name the
Closer to family.
No, not true. She was interacting with her.
Who else? Who else was interacting?
I do not know. I do not know most of the people, but
how many people?
Many political leaders also came.
So where did they actually?
No, I'll tell you one thing.
In Apollo.
Sorry?
The reason why we ask, sir, the reason why we ask is since you're saying
Please,
she's
please,
critically
please,
ill, then how
please,
many people
please,
were allowed?
please. So, please, I think we're getting the sense of the question you wish to ask, but if we could just lower the temperature a bit, we can try and deal with it.
The Chief Minister herself would be personally asked whether she's interested, because as a road to recovery, when she said, we'll ask such and such a way, would you like to meet? She'll say yes or no. It's only such people we have allowed it.
So what about the time? You said for 10 to 20 days she was unconscious.
She gave a response through sign language or?
Yes. No, she'll say yes or no. She's very clear.
Sir,
Even
for almost like, from what you said earlier, at least 20 days, she has been asleep because she was sedated. Where is the question of saying yes or no? Who took the calls then?
see, it's 75 days she was in the hospital.
So I'm going by what you said earlier in answer to an earlier question.
75 days she was in the hospital. Out of that, maybe as you said, 15 to 20 days, yes.
She was on the ventilator. No, the earlier phase, around after September 28th.
So
when
she
was an NIV and then you...
So I just remind you of the process again. When someone is put on the ventilator, to begin with, they're put to sleep completely with anesthetic drugs to make that possible. Then they're gradually woken up as much as is possible whilst keeping them comfortable, with some sedation running. Once a tracheostomy is done, then the sedation is withdrawn completely because there's no longer any need. The sedation is really used just for, if there's any painful procedure, to alleviate the distress of a tube through your throat, which, as you can imagine, is uncomfortable. And so when the tracheostomy is done, that's taken away. And sometimes it's used just to make the interaction with the ventilator easier. And as all those things became less of an issue, then the sedation is weaned right down and then removed. But even when sedation is on, it's often on at a very low level that doesn't prevent someone from interacting to some degree.
Dr. Richard, I have a question for you.
I'm going to go over here next, then we'll come back to this side. So the gentleman in the blue shirt with the microphone.
Doctor, thanks. I just wanted to ask, it's normal procedure for doctors attending on patients in critical care to come out and brief somebody, the closest relative or somebody, on what the situation is. Who were you briefing? What were the updates you were giving her?
So we were briefing Ms. Shashikala on a daily basis, and the government officials, the Chief Secretary, Health Secretary, Health Minister,
secretaries to the Honorable Chief Minister,
ministers, and whenever the Deputy Speaker, Mr. Thambidure, was there, we had a daily briefing, usually in Chairman's office with the whole team.
Sir, Bala sir. Sir, Balaji sir.
Sir, Babu.
Hello. Sir, Bala sir. Sir, one minute.
I think it's my chance now.
Hello.
So
Sir, Bala sir. All in our path.
So please.
Was there
Balaji sir.
idea?
Please.
ஒரு நிமிஷம் சார் ஆளுநர் பார்த்தாரா சார் ஆளுநர் பார்த்தாருங்களா
ஆளுநர் அவரை பார்த்தார்.
So
Governor came.
please.
Three times வந்தாருங்க ஆளுநர் பார்த்தாருங்களா
If we all shout at each other, we won't get anywhere. Now, there was a question in Tamil which Dr. Balaji was going to translate so that we could try and address it.
Sir, I will turn this side. Sir, his question was. Dr.
Richard, has questions?
No. Now, I'm really not going to have a conference conducted in this fashion. Please. We will answer everyone's questions, but we're trying to deal with something from everything. So let's just do each other the common courtesy of just taking our turns.
His Excellency the Governor first visited her, and her condition was explained by the chairman and other doctors. The second time when he visited, he went into the ICU and he was able to see her through the glass door. And Madam Jayalalithaa showed a thumbs up, and which he also has expressed it, His Excellency the Governor.
But Governor told I can't meet our CM. But Governor told I can't meet our CM. Sir.
Okay, so now I'm going to take the question for the gentleman with the microphone in the blue shirt. You, sir. Yours.
Our governor told I can't meet our CM. He told as a statement like this, like இந்த மாதிரி நான் கவர்னர் என்ன சொல்லியிருக்காரு, நான் வந்து முதல்வரை சந்திக்க முடியல அப்படின்னு தானே வெளியே வந்து சொல்லியிருக்காரு. நீங்க இப்ப பார்த்ததா சொல்றீங்க, தம்ஸ் அப் காட்டினதா
இல்ல
சொல்றீங்க.
சார், அவர் முதல் தடவை வந்தபோது கீழே அவர் சேர்மன் ஆபீஸ்ல he was briefed about it. The second time when he came, you can even clarify with him very clearly. He has even made the statement. You can clarify with the principal secretary to the governor. You can clarify with him. He has very categorically said that he has gone into the ICU and he found her.
சார், முதல்வர் வந்து இன்னும் 2-3 நாள்ல வெளியே வீட்டுக்கு வந்துருவாங்க, சீக்கிரம் வந்துட போறாங்க அப்படின்லாம் சொல்லிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. மருத்துவ குழுலாம் சொன்னீங்க, எல்லாரும் செய்தியில சொல்லிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. ஆனா திடீர்னு அவங்களுக்கு வந்து கண்டினியூ பண்றாங்க. இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணதுக்கான அந்த கண்டினியூ பண்ணதுக்கான என்ன நடந்தது அதை சொல்லுங்களேன்.
Dr. Babu, what is his question is, you said she is on the road to recovery. Suddenly how cardiac arrest ensued and how she deteriorated.
சாம்பார் சாதம் சாப்பிடுறாங்க, இட்லி சாப்பிடுறாங்க, சாம்பார்லாம் சாப்பிடுறாங்க.
What he said is very true. She was sitting up in the bed watching TV, eating tayar sadam, all that she did. She was doing physiotherapy, not walking like walking 1 kilometer, getting up from her bed, able to walk few steps. She was very weak, but doing all that. But yes, exactly.
No,
It is true.
Just introduce. That's fine.
I can't give you a date,
Dr.
unfortunately.
Richard,
I don't
let
have
me ask my question. I think I've waited long enough. Let me ask my question.
All right, so now there's a lady over here who is making the point that I've asked her to be quiet twice. So I'm going to give the question to you, madam.
Sir,
No.
Thank you, Dr. Richard. My name is Rohini. I represent a television channel called India.
Please, no, I'm going here. I'll come back to you in a moment.
Dr. Richard
Madam.
and everybody there, my name is Rohini. I represent the channel called India Today. My question is, very briefly, can you give us a timeline? I know it's a long time, 75 days, but what exactly happened till the end? Because that's what we'd like to know briefly. Questions have been raised throughout the press conference, but if you can just tell us very briefly, what is the timeline ever since she entered the hospital till the end?
So, I don't know whether I, of course, wasn't there the whole time. Dr. Babu can give you a high-level timeline, which I think he's already done, but we can reiterate those key points as the best of your memory. In all fairness to him, it's quite difficult to remember precise dates for a course like this, but I'm sure he'll do his best.
சார், ஒரே ஒரு கேள்வி. லட்சக்கணக்கான மக்கள்.
Please, we're about to hear an answer, sir.
Sir.
No, he's about to speak. Now, please.
So the Honorable Chief Minister got admitted, as I said, on the 22nd night. Yes, 22nd of night. She was in the ICU with a non-invasive ventilator till the 28th or 29th, 6 days. Then she got intubated. After intubation, she had a tracheostomy done about 10 days after the intubation. After tracheostomy was done, she was slowly weaned off the ventilator. So she got moved from the ICU to a room when she was off the ventilator, needing ventilator support only during night when she sleeps. Otherwise, she is always only on oxygen. During sleeping period, we put her just to rest her. So I can't remember exactly when she was moved to the room. She was moved to the room and this was continued and the physiotherapy was enhanced till the day of the cardiac arrest, which is on the 4th. Do not know is the answer. It was a sudden event. It's a sudden cardiac arrest. If as doctors we could tell why everyone is having a sudden cardiac arrest, it will be very simple, but it is not. It was a witness sudden cardiac arrest that happened in the room.
Yes, sir.
One cardiac arrest. She really had one cardiac arrest.
So.
பாலா சார்,
ஒரு வாரத்தில் மருத்துவமனையிலிருந்து வீட்டுக்கு சென்றிருக்கலாம்.
Doctor here.
Sir.
Doctor.
So, please. Do you know how difficult it is to have 20 people shouting at you? Now, we're going to go to this gentleman in a moment.
பண்ணாங்க, ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் பண்ணாங்க.
So we'll just translate that question, please, so we know
His
what he said.
question is, apart from you, apart from the government of Tamil Nadu, apart from Apollo doctors, there were expert opinion from AIMS specialists who had also come, whom you had also interacted. AIMS doctors have given their report to the government of India, and the report concurs with the treatment that has been given by Apollo Hospital.
How many people?
Political leaders also came.
No, I'll tell you one thing. Sorry?
The reason why we ask, sir, the reason why we ask is since you're saying
Please,
she's
please,
critically
please,
ill, then how
please,
many people
please.
were allowed?
Please. So, please. I think we're getting the sense of the question you wish to ask, but if we could just lower the temperature a bit, we can try and deal with it.
The Chief Minister herself would be personally asked whether she's interested, because as a road to recovery, when she said, we'll ask such and such a way, would you like to meet? She'll say yes or no. It's only such people we have allowed it.
So what about the time? You said for 10 to 20 days she was unconscious.
She gave a response through sign language or?
Yes. No, she'll say yes or no. She's very clear.
Sir,
Even
sir, almost like from what you said earlier, at least 20 days she has been asleep because she was sedated. Where is the question of saying yes or no? Who took the calls then?
see, it's 75 days she was in the hospital.
So I'm going by what you said earlier in answer to an earlier question.
75 days she was in the hospital. Out of that, maybe as you said, 15 to 20 days, yes.
She was on the ventilator. No, the earlier phase, around after September 28th.
So
when
she
was an NIV and then you...
So I just remind you of the process again. When someone is put on the ventilator, to begin with, they're put to sleep completely with anesthetic drugs to make that possible. Then they're gradually woken up as much as is possible whilst keeping them comfortable, with some sedation running. Once a tracheostomy is done, then the sedation is withdrawn completely because there's no longer any need. The sedation is really used just for, if there's any painful procedure, to alleviate the distress of a tube through your throat, which, as you can imagine, is uncomfortable. And so when the tracheostomy is done, that's taken away. And sometimes it's used just to make the interaction with the ventilator easier. And as all those things became less of an issue, then the sedation is weaned right down and then removed. But even when sedation is on, it's often on at a very low level that doesn't prevent someone from interacting to some degree.
Dr. Richard, I have a question for you.
I'm going to go over here next, then we'll come back to this side. So the gentleman in the blue shirt with the microphone.
Doctor, thanks. I just wanted to ask, it's normal procedure for doctors attending on patients in critical care to come out and brief somebody, the closest relative or somebody, on what the situation is. Who were you briefing? What were the updates you were giving them?
So we were briefing Ms. Shashikala on a daily basis, and the government officials, the Chief Secretary, Health Secretary, Health Minister,
secretaries to the Honorable Chief Minister,
ministers, and whenever the Deputy Speaker, Mr. Thambidurai, was there, we had a daily briefing, usually in Chairman's office with the whole team.
Sir, Bala sir. Sir, Balaji sir.
Sir, Babu.
Hello. Sir, Bala sir. Sir, one minute.
I think it's my chance now.
Hello.
So
Sir, Bala sir. All in our path.
So please.
Was there
Balaji sir.
idea?
Please.
ஒரு நிமிஷம் சார் ஆளுநர் பார்த்தாரா சார் ஆளுநர் பார்த்தாருங்களா
ஆளுநர் அவரை பார்த்தார்.
So
Governor
listen,
came.
folks, please.
Three times
If we all shout at each other, we won't get anywhere. Now, there was a question in Tamil which Dr. Balaji was going to translate so that we could try and address it.
Sir, I will turn this side. Sir, his question was.
Dr.
His
Richard,
question was
questions?
no. Now, I'm really not going to have a conference conducted in this fashion. Please. We will answer everyone's questions, but we're trying to deal with something from everything. So let's just do each other the common courtesy of just taking our turns.
His Excellency the Governor first visited her, and her condition was explained by the chairman and other doctors. The second time when he visited, he went into the ICU and he was able to see her through the glass door. And Madam Jayalalithaa showed a thumbs up, and which he also has expressed it, His Excellency the Governor.
But Governor told I can't meet our CM. But Governor told I can't meet our CM. Sir.
Okay, so now I'm going to take the question for the gentleman with the microphone in the blue shirt. You, sir. Yours.
Our governor told I can't meet our CM. He told as a statement like this, like. இந்த மாதிரி நான் கவர்னர் என்ன சொல்லியிருக்காரு, நான் வந்து முதல்வரை சந்திக்க முடியல அப்படின்னு தானே வெளியே வந்து சொல்லியிருக்காரு. நீங்க இப்ப பார்த்ததா சொல்றீங்க, தம்ஸ் அப்ப காட்டினதா சொல்றீங்க.
இல்ல சார், அவர் முதல் தடவை வந்தபோது கீழே அவர் சேர்மன் ஆபீஸ்ல he was briefed about it. The second time when he came, you can even clarify with him very clearly. He has even made the statement. You can clarify with the principal secretary to the governor. You can clarify with him. He has very categorically said that he has gone into the ICU and he found her.
சார், முதல்வர் வந்து இன்னும் 2-3 நாள்ல வெளியே வீட்டுக்கு வந்துருவாங்க, சீக்கிரம் வந்துட போறாங்க அப்படின்லாம் சொல்லிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. மருத்துவக்குழுலாம் சொன்னீங்க, எல்லாரும் செய்தியில சொல்லிட்டு இருந்தாங்க. ஆனா திடீர்னு அவங்களுக்கு வந்து கண்டினியூ பண்றாங்க. இந்த மாதிரி பண்ணதுக்கான அந்த கண்டினியூ பண்ணதுக்கான என்ன நடந்தது அதை சொல்லுங்களேன்.
Dr. Babu, what is his question is, you said she is on the road to recovery. Suddenly how cardiac arrest ensued and how she deteriorated.
சாம்பார் சாதம் சாப்பிடுறாங்க, இட்லி சாப்பிடுறாங்க, சாம்பார்லாம் சாப்பிடுறாங்க.
What he said is very true. She was sitting up in the bed watching TV, eating tayar sadam, all that she did. She was doing physiotherapy, not walking like walking 1 kilometer, getting up from her bed, able to walk few steps. She was very weak, but doing all that. But yes, exactly.
No,
it is true.
Just introduce. That's fine.
I can't give you a date, unfortunately.
Dr. Richard, let me ask my question. I think I waited long enough. Let me ask my question.
All right, so now there's a lady over here who is making the point that I've asked her to be quiet twice. So I'm going to give the question to you, madam.
Sir,
No.
Thank you, Dr. Richard. My name is Rohini. I represent a television channel called India.
Please, no, I'm going here. I'll come back to you in a moment.
Dr. Richard
Madam.
and everybody there, my name is Rohini. I represent the channel called India Today. My question is, very briefly, can you give us a timeline? I know it's a long time, 75 days, but what exactly happened till the end? Because that's what we'd like to know briefly. Questions have been raised throughout the press conference, but if you can just tell us very briefly, what is the timeline ever since she entered the hospital till the end?
So, I don't know whether I, of course, wasn't there the whole time. Dr. Babu can give you a high-level timeline, which I think he's already done, but we can reiterate those key points as the best of your memory. In all fairness to him, it's quite difficult to remember precise dates for a course like this, but I'm sure he'll do his best.
சார், ஒரே ஒரு கேள்வி. லட்சக்கணக்கான மக்கள்.
Please, we're about to hear an answer, sir.
Sir.
No, he's about to speak. Now, please.
So the Honorable Chief Minister got admitted, as I said, on the 22nd night. Yes, 22nd of night. She was in the ICU with a non-invasive ventilator till the 28th or 29th, 6 days. Then she got intubated. After intubation, she had a tracheostomy done about 10 days after the intubation. After tracheostomy was done, she was slowly weaned off the ventilator. So she got moved from the ICU to a room when she was off the ventilator, needing ventilator support only during night when she sleeps. Otherwise, she is always only on oxygen. During sleeping period, we put her just to rest her. So I can't remember exactly when she was moved to the room. She was moved to the room and this was continued and the physiotherapy was enhanced till the day of the cardiac arrest, which is on the 4th. Do not know is the answer. It was a sudden event. It's a sudden cardiac arrest. If as doctors we could tell why everyone is having a sudden cardiac arrest, it will be very simple, but it is not. It was a witness sudden cardiac arrest that happened in the room.
Yes, sir.
One cardiac arrest. She really had one cardiac arrest.
So.
பாலா சார்,
ஒரு வாரத்தில் மருத்துவமனையிலிருந்து வீட்டுக்கு சென்றிருக்கலாம்.
Doctor here.
Sir.
Doctor.
So, please. Do you know how difficult it is to have 20 people shouting at you? Now, we're going to go to this gentleman in a moment.
பண்ணாங்க, ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் பண்ணாங்க.
So we'll just translate that question, please, so we know
His
what he said.
question is, apart from you, apart from the government of Tamil Nadu, apart from Apollo doctors, there were expert opinion from AIMS specialists who had also come, whom you had also interacted. AIMS doctors have given their report to the government of India, and the report concurs with the treatment that has been given by Apollo Hospital.
Doctor, why was her family members, Deepa?
சார் தீபா உள்ள என்ன அலோ பண்ணவே இல்ல அப்படின்னு சொல்றாங்களே.
இல்ல அப்ப அவங்க தான உறவினர். இப்ப நீங்க சொல்றீங்க
இது
குடும்பத்துல உள்ளவங்க
beyond medical answer sir. இது personal question. பாபு சார் ஹேண்டில் பண்ண முடியாது சார். இது ஒரு personal question சார்.
Doctor. So, gentlemen,
family members
listen, I really, please. Now, we are here to try and help, but really, there's no point in this conversation if you're going to shout at us. Now, as to what was your question, please? One question. Why was her family member not allowed? Deepa, I mean, she's a blood relative. So that is not a question I can answer, I'm afraid.
Doctor here. Doctor here. Doctor here.
Vara sir.
Not a question I can answer. Right. Yes, all right, madam. Yes.
Do you have any plan of taking her to London for treatment?
So the issue of transferring to London was discussed at great length and kept under review. Now, the issue of transferring a critically ill patient is always a balanced one, because there clearly are risks to transfer, particularly a transfer of that distance. Having said that, you can move nearly anybody if you put enough resource and effort into it. So it's always a risk-benefit. The question is there some particular treatment that can be provided in the place you're going to that is not available in the place you're coming from? The facilities at Apollo are first-rate, the team was highly expert, and it was being reinforced with extra opinion, as you've heard. So although we discussed this at considerable length, our shared view was that in that early phase, when she was on the ventilator and unconscious, that the things we were doing were going in the right direction, and that risk-benefit balance did not justify a journey of that length with the risks associated with it. However, we kept it under review. Later, of course, she was awake, and by then it was very clear that she herself did not wish to move. Once she'd woken up and was interacting as we've described, and it was obvious to me, and I'm sure you all know, there is no way we could tell the Honourable Chief Minister what she should or shouldn't do in this regard. So it became a matter of her choice, not ours. But that's how it worked. So I'm going to take a question from over here. Gentleman with your hand up, please.
Doctor, can you please explain her last moments? Her last moments.
So,
she died of cardiac arrest. Immediately, it was explained that immediately the protocol was followed to revive her. And actually, there is an opinion that it was delayed. The announcement was delayed. By 5:30, television channels began flashing that she was no more. At that point in time, can you please explain what happened?
Basically, he's asking whether she died earlier than the time
Dr. Babu, you're taking it?
Okay. She had a cardiac arrest around about 5 o'clock. As I said, there was medical personnel in the room, so it was a witnessed cardiac arrest. The cardiac CPR was started immediately, and the ECMO team was informed immediately. The on-call cardiologist who was in Apollo Hospital came down within a few minutes. He's on the same floor as that's just above floor.
The room where she's admitted.
Yeah. So CPR, cardiopulmonary resuscitation was done immediately. It's not like it was a witness cardiac arrest. So CPR went on for about 20 minutes, and we didn't get a heart rhythm. That is when the decision was taken to put her on ECMO. So she was put on ECMO. Once you put a person on ECMO, we have to give them some time, at least 24 hours, to say whether it has worked or not. So that is the time that we gave to see whether the heart will restart or not. And at the end of 24 hours, when we reassessed her, there was still no own heartbeat. Only the ECMO machine was working. Then we realized that it was futile to continue care, and this decision was taken in consensus with all the doctors who were treating her, including the All India Institute medical team who had come down the previous day
on 3rd.
Yes, and it was a collective decision that it is futile to continue therapy. That was then relate to the government officials, senior government officials, and the family, and then we stop the ECMO.
Doctor, I have a question.
Sir, one question, sir.
Doctor,
Balaji, sir.
So I think I've made it clear that we are going to have some discipline in this meeting. So can we please, we cannot hear the questions if you all shout. So
Doctor?
now,
Sir, one question.
Doctor?
அவர் ஒரு சீனியர் டாக்டர், ஒரு கிளாஸ்மேட்டை கூப்பிடுற மாதிரி என் தலையை பார்த்தாவது நீங்க தெரிஞ்சுக்கணும், நாங்கெல்லாம் வயசானவங்கன்னு. அட்லீஸ்ட் இவங்களாவது இளமையா இருக்காங்க. ஏய் ரிச்சர்டுனா அவர் நம்ம விருந்தினரா வந்திருக்காரு, கொஞ்சம் ஒரு சகோதரருக்கு ஒரு மரியாதை இருக்கணும்னு நான் நினைக்கிறேன். சொல்லுங்க சார், சொல்லுங்க பிரதர். சார், இனிஷியலா அவங்க ஃபீவர், டீஹைட்ரேஷன் தான் வந்தாங்க சார். அதுக்கு அப்புறம் there was progression of events in her.
சார், இன்னைக்கு வந்து எல்லாரும் மருத்துவ குழு எல்லாம் சந்திக்கிறீங்க. அந்த ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் நடந்தப்போ எந்த டாக்டருமே யாரும் எந்த டீமையும் வந்து என்ன நடக்குது ஏது நடக்குது சொல்லல. இன்னொன்னு, லட்சக்கணக்கான மக்கள் அப்போலோ வாசல்லே காத்திருந்தாங்க. கோடிக்கணக்கான மக்கள் என்ன நடக்குதுன்னு தெரியாம இருந்தாங்க. ஆனா அவங்களுக்கு முறையாக இந்த மருத்துவ நிர்வாகமா இருந்தாலும் சரி, மருத்துவ குழுவாக இருந்தாலும் சரி, தமிழக அரசா இருந்தாலும் சரி, முறையாக நீங்க வந்து அதை நடந்துகிட்டீங்களா? அது மாதிரி பல கேள்விகள் இருக்கு. இதுக்கு வந்து நீங்க என்ன சொல்ல போறீங்க? ஒரு விட்னஸே இல்லன்றீங்க, சிசிடிவி உள்ள வைக்கல அப்படின்னு சொல்றீங்க. நீங்க இந்த பிரஸ் மீட் கொடுக்கறதுனால மக்கள் எல்லாம் இதை அவங்க